I'm here with another NewScott interview. This time I'm here with Twin City Wrestling Promoter Cyril Richards. How you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. Why did you decide to become a promoter in the Maritimes?
At the time, I just wasn't.
Go ahead. Oh.
No, at the time there was a lack of quality wrestling. So, and the person that was putting on the wrestling, he was canceling shows. I think there was like 3 in a row, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. Maybe I made that number up, but there was at least one. He was canceling shows, and I was like, fuck it. And I went for it, and that's pretty much that was pretty much the catalyst for it.
Were you a fan of Maritime wrestling before you started promoting?
Yeah, but not as much as I was a fan of wrestling in general. Before I started doing it, I wasn't. I never really had a chance to go to the shows like Real Action Wrestling, or I only recently started going to see. Mostly because where I work, I was away most of the time with the Navy and stuff like that. But I think it was around 2010, 2011, I think it was actually, where I actually got to first see my actual first local wrestling show.
What show was that?
Well, it was UCW.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you got into promoting, why did you choose the roster you did for your first show? When was your first show?
May 11th, 2013 was the first one down in Blockhouse. And then the 12th we did the next day up in Dartmouth. How did I choose the roster? I don't know. Well, the first person I went to was well, no, I shouldn't say the first person, because I started with some guys around here. I was talking with Dale Sims, Outlaw Mark Maverick, of course Greaser and Nick Diggs. We were all talking before they, they wanted to stick with UCW. Those guys wanted to stick with UCW, but Maverick came along. Superstar Aaron Matthews, I think, was the next one that I went to. And then from there was Dick Durning, Wesley Pipes, and then I went off suggestions from those two.
Okay. How did Eastlink come into play so early in TCW? A lot of promotions spend a lot more time trying to get a TV deal than.
Well, I like to think it was, hey, it had to do with my personality too. I think I'm, personable guy. I'm nice enough. But yeah, no, I just, we only had a few shows at the time, so, but Scott Simpson helped out a lot with that, because he did all the, well, I should say all the videotaping, because we had Jason Eisner and his brother John and a few of those guys along for the first season too. But Scott Simpson helped out a lot with Eastlink, because he did the editing and he put it all together, and they really liked how it showed on screen, and that was pretty much it. I met with Brett and a few of the other people down in Sackville a couple times, and it just worked out. It seemed like it was natural. It just seemed like a natural progression. So.
Was Scott part of TCW originally, or part of Eastlink? How did he come into play?
He came into play. Well, the way I remember, my memory's not the best, but we started off TCW, and then I got an email from Scott about AV, AV camera opportunities and stuff like that, and then we started talking. I didn't know him before. Okay. And then we started talking that way. So he started coming and videotaping. He would hook up the cameras and work the cameras, and then go and do the editing. And I think he stuck around. Actually, I think he's said it before too, but I like to think he stuck around for this reason too, is that he liked the product, he liked what we were putting out, so he stuck with it, he helped out and did all that stuff. Yeah, it just I don't know, it just seemed, like I said, it seemed natural, just
Right.
gravitated towards each other.
Were you happy with the product when it aired? How it was put together and everything like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I really liked, I mean, we could have, I mean, there's minor changes that I would like to, I would like to see, and there's, I mean, of course there's some major changes I'd like to see too, but overall, for what we had and what we did, it was, I thought it was fantastic, especially the job Scott did everything. He did, you know, like I said, the editing, the recording, he did the voiceovers, he did the commentary, anything to do with season 1 was mostly, you know, like 80% Scott Simpson, and the rest were, like I said, Jason and John and their crew.
Looking back at it now, would you change anything about the shows that you did back then that were on Eastlink, with the roster that you used or how it was filmed or edited? Would you choose to use any different guys?
If I could go back and do it again, I would start off with a few different people, yes. How it was filmed, I like the way second season was filmed a lot better. And not because of the way it was filmed, but just the setting. It was darker, it was you know, it was the atmosphere. That's what I would have liked to have seen that in season 1. I just like, I mean, as you can tell, the ring ropes are black, the skirt's black. So I like the darker, you know, as less light as possible.
Right. Just want the ring lit.
Yeah.
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 When was the first time you brought in Tyson Dux, and why did you choose to bring him in?
The first time I brought in Tyson Dux was the summer of 2013 for the South Shore exhibition. I brought in Dux and Ty Dillinger and so Sean Spears.
Yeah, he was actually here in 2003 as well. He worked a show in Dartmouth. Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He came in with Quinton Valentino and Highlanders, Robbie and Rory McAllister. Yeah.
Nice. A very nice guy too.
Yeah.
How did I just, like I said, my memory's not the best, but I don't know. It just seemed like Tyson was you know.
Did you go to him or did he come to you?
No, I went to him.
You went to him?
Yeah. And then I asked him. I was like, yeah, I'm bringing another guy too. Who do you suggest? And then he brought in Sean. They tag teamed as Snap City Hooligans, and they even stayed at my mom's house.
Yeah, he mentioned that when I was with him last time. Yeah, that's right. There was a bit of time between the shows from 2013 and the first show of 2014. Why was that?
I don't remember. What was
your first show in 2014? I think was in June. I don't remember when the last one of 2013 was, but there was a few months.
I think the last one in 2013 would have been November, maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same this time around too. Our last one was November, and the next one is in May. Actually, 2014 we didn't do a wrestling show, but we did the music show instead at the Marquee for the 1 year anniversary. I mean, it would have been more appropriate to do a wrestling show for the 1 year anniversary, but I liked to, I wanted to. Mike Boyd he had his new album coming out, Note to Sarcasm, which is available on iTunes, and I was making friends with Jay Brew and all those other guys that came to the anniversary show. So I don't know. I just wanted to put on a music show, and that was our first event of. Well, I still consider it TCW's first event of 2014, but even though it wasn't a wrestling show, the long wait was just same thing. I don't really like to take chances with the weather, so same thing as this year's. Even though the weather's great this year, you could have run one right straight through the winter.
Definitely never know in the Maritimes. In June 2014, you planned a show at the Halifax Forum that was supposed to feature Chris Sabin, Courtney Rush, Cody Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Only one of those three showed up.
And Leah Von Dutch.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Only one of those four showed up. What happened?
Flights.
Flights?
Yeah, I had I had all their flights booked and everything like that. So I can't remember all the details. I remember LVD. She had a problem at the border. She was working in, I think, Detroit the night before.
It was somewhere in the
Something
States,
like that,
yeah. I think one of them was doing a show that got canceled, and she couldn't get.
I think she was the one. Yeah.
And she was supposed to fly from somewhere else, but couldn't get. And
Yeah.
her connecting flight, she couldn't get there because she didn't get to the first place. Does that
was,
sound right?
Yeah, that was LVD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Courtney, unfortunately, I think she was traffic getting to the airport, and couldn't. Like I wasn't able to get another flight on time.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what happened with Cody, but that flight was missed too, and Saban made it.
Yeah. Why wasn't Tyson Dux on that show?
He wasn't.
No. that was the show.
That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that one. He probably looked at me funny on the internet, I guess.
What made you decide to put the title on Chris Sabin, and why was that his only show?
He was supposed to come back for the next one too. When was that? August, I think, of 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was supposed to come back for that one too, but whatever happened, and he couldn't come back, so that. Actually, I think it was me. I told him not to come. I don't know. However it happened, and we brought Tyson Dux in that one to replace Saban. Why did I put the title? Because nobody did that around here. I just thought that nobody puts it on a big guy or nobody did put it on a big guy that big name that was flown in. So I thought, fuck it, why not? Of course, it didn't work out.
Right. The only match that was advertised at that show that could have taken place with people that showed up was Chris Sabin and Sexton Phoenix.
Yeah.
Why did that match not take place?
Because
they were the only two guys here that were advertised.
Yeah, in my and that goes into a lot of other changes that were made from 13 and 14, to 15 and carrying on. I was, I kind of let people talk to me more, get in my ear and stuff like that. So it should have stuck with the main plan, Saban and Sexton. It would have been a great match, but I don't know how much I want to get into it. But basically, it was suggested that we change it, and I was like, fine, let's change it. And that's what you saw. I mean, it didn't turn out to be a bad match.
It was a good match. It was just odd that the only advertised match that could have taken place didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he ended up. I think part of what the changes were too was because the R&R Express, what's his name, Rodney, wasn't supposed to be in, but then he ended up coming in. So now there is a tag team, and then I didn't have another tag team to any other real tag team to face them. So I mean, Sexton and Saint were teaming before, so that was part of it too. But,
okay. Explain the lava match and why that happened and where it came from.
I went to what is it? Who was in New Brunswick? XWA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to one of their shows. I was backstage.
Dick Daring and those guys.
Yeah. I went to. So I was backstage talking with. I can't even say his last name. Josh.
Yeah.
And he was describing this match to me and how him and Jeremy were, I don't even know his character's name, the frat guys. not Chip Chambers, but the other two. And he was describing me this match that they had for fun and stuff like that. How they would just play around like this. Like, that sounds like it would be fun. So let's friggin' do it. But it was supposed to be those two.
Yeah.
And it would have worked. I think it would have worked out better had it been those two. But Jeremy didn't end up making it. And so we had to put somebody in there. So that was, Maverick didn't have anything to do, so we put him in there, and he was not prepared for that.
Was the original idea of the match supposed to be them on the ropes,
Yes.
going into the ring?
Yeah.
Not from the outside, right?
Yeah, you jump from couch to couch as a
Right.
kid, right? But it was the same concept, except, you can't touch you climb along the ropes, you fight each other on the
Yeah.
ropes and stuff like that, and whoever falls into the ring, or, that's the loser.
During that summer, you started a working relationship with Kowboy Mike Hughes. How did that come to be?
Again, I really forget. I just call him up. Why do you call him? I think I messed it up. I say call, but it's Facebook.
Right, same thing.
Same thing. I messaged him up and I said, as far as I remember, I'm probably paraphrasing, but basically, we have a show coming up, and I think his first one was in June.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So he came. So he's been here since June of 14.
14.
Yeah. So yeah. So you want to work? He said, yep. And that was pretty much. Like I said, there was a lot more. There was a lot more to it than that. But and then since then he's been, I asked him. I think I asked him too much questions. I don't know if that's possible, but everything that comes up, I go for him for advice.
Yeah, he's the guy to go to.
And then it's just that's pretty much the go-to now. Is any advice he gives, do that, don't do that. Yeah, right.
Definitely.
And well, you've seen the product.
Yeah.
Since so.
In August of 2014, you had a pretty big star appear, not just a wrestling star, but Hollywood too, Kurgan.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
That was because of UCW ended up. I had announced that August date like 2-3 months or so. I think in June I announced it. So I announced it months in advance, right? And then
Did they run the same night? Was that? Yeah. I was in Los Angeles for those shows.
You missed a good one here with TCW.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other one. But they ended up announcing the same night, and they were bringing in Bret Hart.
Right.
So I was like, well, not that these guys can't draw, because they can, but
Bret's a big deal.
Bret's a big,
Yeah.
even though he's been here like 50 times in the past couple of years. So I was like, well, who am I going to get that, who can I get that would draw people away from them to come see us? So I was like, well, if they're going to bring in a big star, I'm going to bring in a big guy. And that was pretty much it. Actually, I went to Cowboy for that one too. I was like, do you think he would come in? And he was pretty much, you never know unless you ask. So.
Yeah. Kurgan's a great guy too. He's super nice,
Scary though.
Yeah.
I was talking with him, and I don't know if it was because I was talking low or if but he was standing over me. He just keep walking closer. Maybe I'd like to think it was because I was talking low that he couldn't hear me, or I don't know if he's going to eat me or what. It's pretty big.
Yeah, he's like 7'2" or something.
Yeah.
I have a picture of my wife's 5'2", 5'3", and I have a picture of her standing between Pete and Kurgan. It's hilarious.
Like looking at a child, eh?
There was a year between shows, August 2014 to August 2015. Mm-hmm. Do you think that hurt any momentum that you were starting to build?
Nope.
No?
No, I don't. Well, personally, I don't. I don't know how other people see it, but I think it was. I think it was a good amount of time. I let. Well, for personal reasons, I stepped away and took a break, shut off the computer, so I didn't see that sort of thing, and I think it was a good amount of time. There was because when we came back with that first show last year,
Yeah.
it's like it didn't seem like we didn't lose anybody, but you know, and the people that did come, the quality was there, you know, and those people came to the next one. And, no, I don't think it hurt anything.
That August 2015 show was sort of booked as the rebirth or repackaging of TCW. You used pretty much a brand new roster. You brought back Tyson Dux again, and changed just about everyone else. Why did you make that change?
Well, I guess you needed to make the change. You don't want to. I didn't want to bring back the same thing that we left, you know, because the same thing that we left didn't seem to be working out that well. Even though everybody was great, all the guys were great. It just didn't seem. To me, it seemed like something was off. So, you know, and then again, it goes to listening to Kowboy and stuff like that. He, you know, it was basically a, who do you suggest? And it was these people. All right, let's go with it. And then, you know, we went with a smaller roster, and we don't. With the exception of Cody Diener now, we're not. I wasn't planning on bringing anybody else in. To bring in, especially anybody from outside the Maritimes,
right?
Because you know my focus is, you know, I say it a lot, you know, support local maritime,
Definitely.
You know, PEI, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and that was pretty much it. So just focus on those people, and I don't know if that answered your question though.
No, it did. Yeah.
Fantastic.
You just want to use local guys and build up the local talent. Like
Yeah.
that's what it should be about, right?
Yeah.
A few of the guys that you used to use complained online about the roster changes. I believe it was Rick Owens that wrote a long status about the displeasure he had with you and the fact that he was still a champion.
Two long statuses.
Two long statuses. What were your thoughts on the whole situation with him?
Personally, I thought we got along, and that was another problem with before, is that I was too personal.
Two, like,
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. Even though I still am, but I think, you know, I like to think I scaled it back a bit. So that kind of, for him to write that, because he wasn't booked on that first show, like, doesn't mean that he wasn't going to be booked. It just means, you know, he wasn't a part of the start off, right? So for him to write that, I didn't feel too good about it, but I didn't lose any sleep over it either.
The next TCW show was in November of 2015 and featured the crowning of a new champion in Tyson Dux. Thoughts on having Tyson as your champion, and what does it mean to have him involved with TCW?
So thoughts on having him as a
champion? Thoughts on him being a champion, and what does it mean to have him involved with the company on every level?
I don't know, just seem like, you know, go back to, you know, being natural. He's a natural champion, so it just seems that he's, you know, he should be out of the roster. Actually, they're all. It's really hard to say who should be or who shouldn't be. But he just seemed, you know, he's got the body, he's got the work, why wouldn't he be champion? Does that make sense?
No, it does. And basically my question is, what does he, like, he's an international superstar. He's been all over the world.
That doesn't hurt.
He's been all over the world. He's regarded as one of the best today, period.
Yeah.
What does it mean having his experience in that locker room to help the younger guys that are there?
And then, you know, and that's the thing. We did that's why we do the seminars before the shows too. We did one with him, and now we're doing one in May with him and Cody Diener, because they do have that, you know, and of course, you know, when the time is right, we'll do, you know, I'd like to do one with Kowboy and Brody and those people, but it's to have that, and so all four of those guys and more, but to have all that experience in one locker room is just, amazing for the younger guys. Like, you know, like we just had Greaser in, and you know, they picked the brain, and Big John Olu.
Yeah.
So, you know, for new guys coming in like that, to have somebody like Tyson Dux as the champion, as the you know, the face of TCW, just I don't know. It seems to add more legitimacy and, you know, credibility and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's just. Did that answer your question?
It does.
I feel
yeah.
like it did.
No, it does.
Right.
It does for sure. All right. Steve Arsenault recently said in an interview with Dave Boyce that he'd like to work with TCW, but there are issues stopping that from happening. What are those issues, and thoughts on using Steve? Could you see yourself working with him?
If it happened to me, then I could put it aside and work with him. But it didn't. He ended up. I don't know if I should say. I don't want to. You know, this sort of thing doesn't happen at wrestling shows often. But he ended up beating up my youngest brother. Like, you know, took him down and pounded his head into the pavement and stuff like that. He got a concussion out of it, passed out 3 times. We took him to the emergency room, all that stuff. So, you know, if that were to happen to me, in time I could get over it. But it happened to my youngest brother, and to watch him, you know, he basically passed out in my arms 3 times, and the aim of this game took. So it's not an easy thing to get over. Yeah, so there was a time, you know, when I first found out that Steve was leaving, when he was leaving, the thought crossed my mind.
Leaving Wrestle Center, you mean?
Yeah, leaving Wrestle Center, and we worked it out that, you know, yeah, we could do it. You know, I could get past it, you know, do this sort of thing, and but then I talked to my brother, and he wasn't comfortable with it, and I'd much rather have him there, even though he doesn't, you know, Nick's not a wrestler or anything like that. He doesn't go in front of the camera. He doesn't. But I would much rather have him there and have him comfortable than have somebody come in that did that, you know, just to get a few extra people in the seats, right?
Right.
Because, you know, and that goes along with the whole TCW. You know, we're family friendly. We're family. We want families to come. We want families to enjoy. We want families to be comfortable. You know, kids to grandmothers, like, you know, all that.
Definitely.
So, you know, it just goes along with that family first type of mentality. Yeah.
Is there anyone currently working in the Maritimes that doesn't work for TCW that you would like to be a part of your shows?
Yes. Do you want me to name them?
Sure.
Well, the first one, Titus. Titus comes with Titus and Nick Diggs. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thoughts on getting Cody D.
Shit, no. Chip Chambers, I want him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, Durning and Pipes, but, you know, it's all, right now we're trying to build something is what we have to grow it, to bring in them, you know, to bring more in later.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thoughts on getting Cody Deaner for the first TCW show this year? What's he going to bring?
What's he going to bring? Excitement. You know, everybody. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Cody Deaner. You know, you watch him on YouTube, and, you know, on Impact when he was there. So he's good at what he does, and he's gonna bring that here. Plus he's good. You know, he was promoting TCW on social media before I even thought of bringing him in.
Right.
So he was retweeting and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't on Facebook, but as soon as he went on Facebook, I was like, you know, I messaged him up. I was like, it's inevitable that we're gonna work together. So
right.
might as well make it let's do it now.
Yeah, he's one guy. He's been to the Maritimes a few times now, and for whatever reason, I've always missed the shows that he was on. He's one of the guys that I've always wanted to get to see in person. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hopefully you're around in May then.
I'll be here.
Don't frig off to Los Angeles.
No, that's more of a summer thing. Thoughts on you recently announced that you will have a show at Upper Clemens Park this summer. You'll be working with the Special Olympics and the athletes there. How did that come to be, and your thoughts on being able to work with them?
That's from Doug Robar. That's Doug Robar's brainchild there. And what happened was it was a case of mistaken identity from Upper Clemens Park. She ended up the lady down there. She ended up messaging me, thinking that she was getting a hold of Doug. I was like, no, I was like, sure, I didn't know at the time that Doug was working on it. I said, yeah, sure, we can come down there, whatever. And not long after, Doug ended up messaging me, saying, I was like, what are you trying to do? Of course, I said, sorry, I didn't know, kind of thing. I was like, you can have it back. And then he was like, no. And then he said he'd much rather, because he wanted to work on his own wrestling promotion, and he knew that it wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So he said he said you can have it, and he'd much rather. Well, he said capable hands. He'd much rather have TCW have it than anybody else that's around here. So that's how we got that.
What does it mean to be working with the Special Olympics and their athletes? I don't know
why we didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Will you be looking to run any other venues in Halifax/Dartmouth outside of the Forum? You don't have, if you are, you don't have to say where yet. If nothing's going to be announced,
Yes.
but are you looking to?
It's already
outside of the Forum.
Yeah, it's already booked, and the date's already set. I just have to wait. Cross some T's, dot some I's, and then I'll mention it on the social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you could pick one match to put on a DVD to show what Twin City Wrestling is all about, what match would you choose?
The ladder match.
The ladder match.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. That's a hard question. I like that match from. I think it was like August of 14, where it was. When Kurgan was here, and it was Cook and who was Cook's partner?
I wasn't here.
Anyways, they ended up. Oh yeah, they ended up. They ended up calling out Mike Hughes. I think it was Pipes, and and then Kurgan went out to help, and he couldn't wrestle because he's got his movies and stuff like that.
Right.
So Kowboy went out for a handicap match, and then Saint ended up coming out to tag with him. I thought that was I like that match, the way it played out. And, I was in the audience watching it too, so to see, I wasn't watching. I was less watching the match and more watching the people. But just to watch people's reaction was. I think it's because of the people's reaction is why I choose that match.
Awesome. You just mentioned Alexander Saint, Narcissus Saint. He was a part of TCW pretty much since the beginning. He's done a lot of shows, but he hasn't been on the last few. What happened there?
That goes along with when we first started up again, and we dropped, like I said, we dropped most of the. It was like 95% of the roster, and started up with new. It was just one of those things that happened. Yeah. Not to say, again, it goes with the same thing we said about all his errors. Not to say that he wouldn't have been a part of the future shows. It just didn't happen to be that one.
What does 2016 hold for Twin City Wrestling?
More wrestling.
You're going to do more shows than last year?
Yeah, we're already. What did we do last year, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're already passing that. We've already got. Oh, Jesus. 4 so far, and I don't think 2 haven't been announced. So, yeah, 4 so far, and working on more.
your thoughts on the support that Maritime Wrestling fans give Twin City Wrestling.
It's hard to describe. Since May of 2013, we've pretty much had that base hardcore. I mean, we haven't been back down. I mean, a lot of it comes from South Shore way too. They used to be, well, I should say used to be. They don't get up to Halifax too much for shows, I don't think. But you know, to have that core group of TCW fans, it's just, I don't know, it seems kind of, to me it seems a little unreal that people would be, you know, they would invest so much of their time
Right.
into you know, my vision of a wrestling product, right?
Do you ever think of going back down to the South Shore where you got your start? Yeah? Is that something you're going to do?
Yes.
Yes, awesome.
I mean, maybe.
Definitely, possibly. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to say to the fans of TCW?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your support, continued support, and you know, we're only gonna, so you know, for everybody that was there last year, you know what to expect going forward, and for newcomers that are gonna come to the shows this year, you're in for a treat, a wild ride.
And where can they find you online?
Facebook.com/Twin City Wrestling, at TCW Promotions on Twitter and Instagram. Working on a website, which would be twincitywrestling.ca. Geez, I think that's all on YouTube. You know, we have our own channel, Twin City Wrestling, but also a lot of the stuff is on, you know, www.youtube.com/NewScott.
In the Twin City Wrestling playlist?
Twin City Wrestling playlist. And Scott Simpson has all of season 1 up on his YouTube page. So he'd be /big ass superstar, I think it is.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Or you just search for Scott Simpson on
Yeah,
YouTube.
it comes up when you type in his name, yeah.
So yeah, there's many ways. We also still working on FNX network. So fnx.network is where you'll find it.
And where did that come from? I hadn't heard of them before until you announced them. They seem like they have. I've been checking them all. They have a lot of stuff.
They do have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of amazing stuff too. You know, and I just recently started getting into it. You know, it's kind of like it seems like one of those things that you just wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, hey, well, I'm gonna go check out the internet today, and that's pretty. You know, I was like, well, there's these guys. I'm gonna email them. That's pretty much. That's pretty much how it happened.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out to do this interview, and thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Before you turn that off, I'm going to interview you now. I got some questions. So we're going to switch places.
We're going to switch places?
Yep.
All right.
Because nobody ever asks you anything.